that Jack and I have gone back and forth on quite a bit because something that's, I'll say it's a little more near and dear to his heart, and as I gain more experience here, I've become more aware of why this is very important. But it's a common thing we also talk to a lot of our clients about as well. And what we often hear is this myth, which is, I don't have time, or I don't have to make time for politics.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so busy running my company. I don't have time. I don't have to make time. It's not important enough for me to make time for politics. And we're here to tell you that's absolutely false.
So false. We hear that all the time with our clients and people who aren't our clients, just in the general ebb and flow of daily living. You know, so many good people will say, I don't have to make time for politics. I don't have time for it. I have a business to run. I got too many things to do. So what happens is that we defer it to people who really, in all likelihood, in many cases, couldn't do anything else in their life, and what they do in politics really isn't too good. It's hard to say in today's world right now that our political system is really yielding great success and great comfort to the 350 million citizens here who basically are the resultant recipients of that. So good people should always make time, especially owners of small businesses. You know, politics affects business in a big way. I mean, I'm not saying anything that somebody doesn't know already who runs a business. But regulations at all levels just eat incrementally away at us and creates cost and difficulty in keeping the energy level and enthusiasm up for businesses. If every time you turn around there's a new law, a new regulation, new something to conform with, that often is not basically explained in a way that you can get behind it comfortably. So it's imperative that small business owners get involved to create that voice, which is not there right now. We've created a professional political class, and it's I can go on with this for a long time.
Well, it usually comes up with our clients when there's a direct impact. Okay, something will happen in their business where there's also a very, very direct and real impact of it. So there's a lot of talk these days about a increase in minimum wage, and that's something. And how do you think these things come about? There are people who are involved in trying to make these things happen. They have an agenda that they're trying to push, and if there aren't folks pushing back on things or putting other ideas forward, those ideas will keep on going. We've had clients over the years that have had different situations, and it's for them it's almost kind of like head scratchers. Like, is this really how things are? We had a client of ours who was doing very well, and he was looking to open a second location, and he got a meeting with the mayor of this town. And as he got in there to meet with the mayor, he was just doing it to kind of meet the mayor, get a feel for him. I figured it's always a good thing to do. We often advise our clients to do that, to get to know people in City Hall, just because if you need something, it's good to at least have a face or somebody to go to. And he's in this meeting, and he's literally getting shaken down by the mayor, saying, "Hey, well, if you're going to come in here, you got to make sure that you give these three people some work and do stuff over here and do this and that." And it was so cumbersome and onerous. But our client came to us and asked a very sincere question. He said, "Is this typical?" I said, I've heard things about this, but you aren't sure what to believe. I mean, does this really stuff kind of happen?
It sure does happen.
Yeah.
There's no question about it, and I'm saying that from a basis of fact. So, yes, it does happen. Why do we have this? Why do we allow it to happen? Well, because there is no strong voice for small businesses, especially. Yet out of all the employment and talk about creating jobs, there's 25 million small businesses in this country. 25 million. And we take the position that if they could all be improved, that's obviously very idealistic, but able to make more profits rather than less, they could all hire one job, one person, one job could be created because they're running their business more successfully. Just look at the problem that would be solved. Rather than have us all small business owners, spread and split apart. The pizza shop owner doesn't necessarily line up with the jewelry store versus the cleaners, etc. So we can be talked about, but we never deliver because we don't have the clout through unity. That's one of the big problems.
I was going to say, it's one of the things coming back to our how theme. It's the question is, well, how do I fight that big big machine that's out there. How do I make anything really happen? And from our experience, there haven't been a ton of places that are really good with that. There may be some local, starting at a very, very local level with the Chamber of Commerce, or we may have some regional groups that are like that. There are some folks who are trying to be able to kind of bring the owners together to make these things happen. And if you look around a little bit, you'll probably be able to find some groups that are there. You don't need to start from scratch. I think our point this morning or this afternoon is to make sure that you start to look for it versus making excuses or trying to say, hey, I don't need to make time for this. You got to make some time for it. Start to look around and figure out what you can do or get involved in locally first. Start making some impact here.
That's right. Don't just complain, about stuff that doesn't go your way. You can run for office. Quite frankly, by making time, if you're running your business right, we like to say there's a three-word description for the owner of a business or a CEO. That's the plan, direct, and control the company you own. And if you do that well, and you should, you're going to have sustainable growing profits, and you're going to have the freedom to do more for your community, and that could extend all the way up to the federal government level. You can have time and do time to do more. You can spend time with candidates. You can get to know them. You can create subgroups that are going to be basically near and dear to your heart so that they just don't get legislated away and thrown into the dustbin. There's a lot you can do, and we strongly advocate that.
Yeah,